are these people?
And over I saw on Substack, the first person we're going to talk about tonight, so I want to get right to his story, is the aforementioned, or at one point I mentioned, Guy Christensen. He's in the thumbnail for that he's being targeted. And so I started to try to explain to a friend of mine what's been happening, and that he's been incredibly influential. I've been following, we've been following and covering some of his videos on the show and sharing them. And in a whole mix, as we do a Fuck Israel segment every week, this whole episode's kind of going to be a little bit of a Fuck Israel thing. We don't have specifically a segment dedicated to it, so we're going to leave the theme song at home tonight. But so the first thing is that I started to try to explain to my friend about what Guy's been up to and that he has been targeted. And then I started doing like searches. So she was like, hey, tell me a little bit more about him and what do you mean? So I start like searching for him on DuckDuckGo. And what I saw was, first of all, DuckDuckGo, if you haven't seen, is absolute corporate media shit now. And most of the results that they're returning at this point are Zionist friendly and corporate media friendly, which means you're going to get a certain narrative. So I decided to plug his name into DuckDuckGo, and I'm going to share with you what I found. And then we're going to get into some of the other stuff that has been happening with him. So this is what I saw. So I searched literally for just his name. All right. And I turned off the save search. And the first thing I get is an article from Stop Anti-Semitism talking about how he's peddling conspiracy theories and glorifying terrorists. And that's not what's happening at all. Sure. Okay. Then you've got pro-Palestine influencer sues Ohio State. I actually want to talk about that because he literally got thrown out of school for protesting on behalf of Palestine. Like, this whole thing is upsetting to me because he's a young man. Like, nobody's paying him to do this. He's doing this because he feels strongly about it and because he sees what's happening, and bless him for it, really. And I don't know if too many people really know what's happening here. So we're dropping frames already. Damn it. We're already dropping frames. Okay. We're back. So we're seeing that he's being smeared, that look at this, the Cleveland Jewish News, the Times of Israel, J-Feed, okay, FO anti-Semitism, and there is an entire network and host of websites that is dedicated to promoting Zionism and pro-Israel stuff, and they've all got the message, and they're all blanketing search engines and dominating search to give you the impression that this is a bad guy no matter what, to the point where you've got the New York Post even coming at him. And again, a lot of this happened at the U.S. When the embassy employees were killed in D.C. at the Holocaust Museum. And Guy made a video where he said that he did not condemn Elias Rodriguez, that he understood the reasons, and it wasn't condoning, it wasn't endorsing, it wasn't providing a plan. It was just saying, I don't condemn him. I get it. And that was twisted as he's endorsing terrorism and he's supporting murder and he's endorsing murder, as you see here in the Pittsburgh Jewish Chronicle. Terrible type of stuff, really. Now, what had happened also as a result of this was that Meta decided to get rid of him, to deplatform him and take away his Instagram and Facebook accounts, both of which were pretty influential, right? So that's pretty bad. That's censorship. We don't like that. We've been talking about censorship for a long time here and speaking out against it. Now, what he does, I think this is the guy that had him banned. All right. Now, this is Guy's Twitter profile. All right. But this guy talked to Trav bragging about how he had Guy banned. And all the people that are cheering underneath it, all the Zionists underneath it that are cheering for having him banned. Disgusting. Now, again, when you go to any of the search results on DuckDuckGo that involve Guy's Instagram videos, all you get is a page saying this cannot be found. And I'd find one, but it looks like they've scrubbed it of that too. All right, here's one, an actual positive article, the voice they tried to silence but couldn't. But what you're seeing here is an overwhelming kind of composition and an image and an impression that they want anyone who doesn't really know who this guy is when they're searching him to get an impression that he's a bad guy who hates Jews, which is not the case at all. He wants Israel to stop bombing children and to exit Gaza and eventually, for Israel to not exist. And I, as a Jew, even am calling for that, as you should. All right. Especially in light of what they've done the last 2 years. How can they possibly be allowed to exist as a country? How are we still recognizing them as a legitimate nation in the community of nations? I've been asking that question. I wrote that up 10 days ago. All right. And what Guy said even 5 days ago was that I urged people to help disseminate my videos onto Meta, who's blacklisted me over my speech. Anyone who wishes to take on this task can download his videos off of TikTok and without a watermark, post and even monetize them. They can't stop us. Okay. That's not, again, he's not here to make money on this stuff. So one of the couple of platforms where you can actually find him is on Twitter or X. And he was talking about how he's now being censored on TikTok and how some of his videos are now being removed and shown as disqualified. All right. Every single video of his talking about Charlie Kirk's turn against Israel restricted by TikTok. Huh. What a shock. Can you imagine that happening? Right. Okay.
Yep.
Now, on top of that, so this is his TikTok account. All right. 3.5 million. I guess he went from 3.4 to 3.5 literally since I saw this earlier today. So congrats on hitting 3.5. And you can see that his videos are influential and have impact, like more impact than a lot of mainstream corporate shows do. 1.9 million views, 3.6 million views. I mean, those are the pin ones, sure, but
which normally makes me pretty suspect. But
even, but not when he's talking about what he's talking about, because they're trying to silence him off this platform. All right.
Sure.
All right. He's talking about how a TikTok deal's been finalized with China. So now you've got Larry Ellison getting more involved. All right. Then you've got even Twitter is messing with him now. So all his videos criticizing Israel have been removed from the FYP by TikTok, but now even Twitter won't let him post. Like, he wanted to post a certain video, which you can find him on at his Substack. That's where all the stuff is actually able to be found. And I'll put the link for that in a second. But the biggest thing that's commendable and I think that Israel is upset about, on top of his exposing Zionism and calling out what's actually happening there to a large platform, is he's raised over $350,000 to help feed Palestinians in Gaza. And that, again, makes Israel look pretty bad. When an American can help do that from here, that's impressive. All right. Now, I mentioned earlier that he got expelled from school to the point where the ACLU has now filed a lawsuit challenging Ohio State University's violation of the student free speech and due process rights. So we'll see what remains. We'll see what happens with this. I hope he ends up at some point reinstated and allowed to go back to school. I don't know if he would even want to go back to Ohio State University after the way that he was treated. I'm glad that the ACLU decided to stand up on his behalf. and challenge what Ohio State has done, because obviously they're succumbing to pressure from this smear campaign. And that's literally what I find this to be, a coordinated smear campaign going back to October 7th. And I have other stuff, in my research, and I didn't bring the links here, but Guy talked about that after October 7th, he was doing videos, and in November, he was actually approached by the Israel lobby and offered money to make videos on behalf of Israel. So we found that interesting and exposed that and published those emails and decided to go the other way. Then we've also got, there are just so many websites that are out there. And honestly, if that were going on against me, I don't know how I'd handle it, but I would say that he's handling it incredibly well, considering. And he's fighting back in the best way that he knows how, which is to help raise money and continue to expose what's happening here. And I just thought that his story deserved a little bit of light and a little bit of conversation on its own. I don't really see too many people. I see a lot of people sharing his videos, but taking an interest in what's happening around him and how he's angering the Zionist lobby and what they're doing in response to it is also a lesson in, if they can do this to him, they can do this to anybody they decide to set their sights on. So that's my 2 cents on, so fuck censorship, fuck Israel for that. The Trump administration has been in full support of all of this. The pressure that they've been putting on universities to censor free speech and to censor pro-Palestinians, the way that they've been sweeping, pro-Palestine voices that are immigrant off the street and putting them into ICE detention facilities. And now again, you've got them taking over the Zionist lobby, taking over TikTok, which was one of the few platforms they could not really control. We talked about this going back 2-3 years ago, that even though, yes, there were people from the State Department and CIA working at TikTok, at ByteDance, and that their stuff had gone through Oracle servers going back even then, that still the ratio of pro-Palestine posts to pro-Israel posts on there was 10-1. And that was why Israel decided TikTok had to be taken down. So,
which if you follow the articles of Alan McLeod, it was already pretty controlled.
So I'm going to show, some people might get a little, I'm going to show, this is his Substack. So Guy Christensen, it's called yourfavoriteguy.substack.com. Again, he makes TikTok style videos that he also publishes over here to Substack, over to Notes, and to his own articles that he publishes on a daily basis, to his posts that are here, video posts. So I wanted to show his publication that he writes to, that is the best place, that and his link tree, which you can find here, are the best places to find him on here, to actually hear his voice and not what anybody else is saying about him, but hear it directly from the person himself, which I'm always an advocate for. So we're not quite being smeared like that and targeted, thankfully, but we are certainly demonetized by YouTube, and a lot of places aren't monetizing us. We don't really want the platforms to necessarily get the money that are funded by VC. So what we ask is that if you're able to contribute and want to fund the media you want to see, Cash App, $ Indie News Network comes right to us. ko-fi.com/Indie News Network. PayPal.me/Indie News Network. Then we've got our self-hosted website at indienewsnow.com. That's an aggregator of a whole lot of different news sources into one place. And we also live stream there and self-host. And then you've got live on Substack at indiemediatoday.com, again, where we're live right now. Hello to everybody over on Substack, and at innnewsletter.com, which is the network for Indie News Network, the network's newsletter where we put out a weekly update and other shows go live as well. So that's getting stuff kicked off. So again, there's some solidarity there. You know, whatever we can do, if there's anything that he can tell us about what's happening to him and wants us to share, we can certainly do that. Delete everything and remove everything from TikTok because TikTok is beyond dead, is what Dissent in Bloom is saying. That's one way to go, sure. And then Sean says that he truly supports us and others because of our steadfast willingness to speak the damn truth. Thank you. It's our truth. I mean, this is what I am seeing and what I am experiencing. And I don't know what I would do if it were me. They literally tried to dox this kid to his parents and like have an intervention with his parents to say, do you know that your son is siding with terrorism? And thankfully, I'm hoping that his parents and everybody standing, kind of rallied around him realizes what's happening here and why he's being targeted, and that there is a network of supporters and people around him that are behind him. And yes, Fred Edward, free Palestine, for sure.
Go to my website.
And at that website, there's also merch. So there's a button to pick up an INN t-shirt.
Buy my merch right quick.
Oh, check out that merch. Check it out. Oh, Reese wearing a beanie. Look at that. Oh, he's heating up his dab rig right now. So yes, you can get an INN beanie over at the merch store too. You go to indienewsnow.com, click on the merch store, and you can pick up one for yourself. Love you all. Thank you for hanging out. Support independent media because we need it more than ever. We'll see you soon, fam. No! We just fucking lost the stream!
I think I liked it better being blind, when I couldn't read between the lines, and when I couldn't see the cracks in the structure that lay bare before me the whole time. I think I liked it better back when I suspended disbelief and swallowed pride. I thought I knew the difference in the red from the blue, but they both bleed us so dry. They both bleed us so dry.
My favorite songs don't hit the same way. I get to the end of a 4-minute track and I'm only looking back thinking, what did they actually say?
Can't keep giving us nothing and think we're bluffing about coming for your heads. Why play civil if you won't listen to 50,000 dead? And now we know our mission, we form a militia, make Congress a prison.